Hello and welcome to today's video. If you are a new viewer, welcome to my channel. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about sustainable summer wardrobe choices. So this is about selecting new items for your wardrobe sustainable in the easiest possible way. It's about making summer fashion affordable, and it's also about sharing tips and tricks for keeping those favourite summer items looking their best for longer. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for checking out today's video. You'll be very aware already, probably from the title and my little intro just then, that this is not the same or similar to my normal videos. Normally I'm talking about knitting and sewing and making clothes yourself, but for all of us, there are times when we need to purchase things, and I'm really keen to share my tips, tricks and passion for slow fashion in a way that is accessible to absolutely everybody. So whether you're a returning viewer or a new viewer, welcome. I hope today's video is of interest. Please do leave some comments and feedback below, and if you'd like to see more, click that subscribe button. So I've got some items on a rail next to me here and an item on, of course, but before I kind of delve into the tips and tricks, I think there's one kind of overarching theme to what I'm going to be saying, and that is to really understand what suits your body, what gaps there are in your wardrobe that you kind of want to fill long term. And then thirdly, kind of identifying the purpose of each item. Is an item in your wardrobe because it fills a short-term need? Is it in your wardrobe because it brings you loads of joy? Is it in your wardrobe because it's a colour that really expresses you? What is the purpose that each item serves? Very happy to create some videos on each of those topics and how you figure those things out. But if we take those as kind of overarching theme, then let's get stuck into today's tips and tricks. So the first one relates to what I am wearing, she says as she bumps it into the cupboards. So I'm going to insert a picture here of the full garment. This is a dress with a really nice simple neckline. It's got a really pretty tie back. Ooh, she's going to have to move because I keep knocking things. And it's made in a really beautiful kind of thin cotton fabric with a really lovely waist seam, and it's about midi length with a split up one leg. Now, why does this feature in today's video? Well, this dress, it was originally made by Warehouse, but I bought it from a charity shop. So the colour for me really fit with a kind of gap in my wardrobe, although you'll see I have a similarly coloured item here. And I really wanted a dress that I could throw on, would look like a kind of daytime outfit, but wouldn't really require too much thinking about, too much styling, and this dress really fit that bill. Now, originally, the retail price, I think, was around about £50 to £60, but in a charity shop, it was £8. So already you're looking at something far more affordable. Now, I know lots of people talk about charity shopping and finding clothes there, and sometimes it's really luck of the draw what charity shops you have near you, how well they kind of vet items that are coming in, and the kind of items that people are dropping off. So a couple of tips when it comes to charity shop clothes shopping is to go regularly, but not go necessarily with one particular item in mind. This comes back to my kind of overarching principle that you need to have a sense of what you want to put in your wardrobe long term, not a kind of, I've got this event coming and I need this type attitude. And by doing that, you can go in regularly and see stuff as it comes in fresh and new. And that's how I tend to find the best items in my local charity shops. So my first hint tip, not only is it good for the environment, it's good for humanity. You're giving back to the world through a charitable donation, and also you're stopping clothes going into landfill, and it's really good for your wallet too. So charity shop clothes shopping is an absolute must for me, and if you'd be interested in me making a video all about my wardrobe that all comes from a charity shop, I'd be very happy to do that. Moving on to my next tip. So, my next tip actually relates to both the garment I'm wearing and this garment here. This is a brightly coloured dress, as you can see, but the key thing about this garment is it's actually got a belt around the waist. When it comes to really bright colours, which we tend to gravitate towards more in the summer months, it's really important to think about how we're washing these garments to make sure that they maintain their kind of glow, their kind of best attributes, even after we've been wearing it multiple times, had it for multiple years. So one thing that I think people forget to think about when it comes to coloured items, just as much as white items, is that you need to be washing these with other similar colours. That's really, really important. The second thing that I'd really give as a top tip, I've got so many friends who've got rid of kind of shirt dresses or dresses with belts, or shorts with belts, anything that's got a belt to match that's in a fabric. So many people get rid of them because the belt ends up being a different colour to the main garment. And that's because people don't chuck the belt in the wash with the main dress. So that's tip number 2. So when you've got brightly coloured items, wash them with other items of a similar colour. And 2, always make sure that fabric belts and waist ties are shoved in the wash with the garment to make sure they continue to be the same colour. My next tip surrounds what to do with items that have maybe got a little bit of damage. So the item I'm holding here is a really loose fitting kind of boyfriend style shirt. It's very long, comes to down below, like just to the back of my knees. And what's the issue with this item? Well, I've split the side hem. Not all the way, don't worry, it's got an uneven hem. But, and I'll try and bring this closer, this seam just here, you can kind of see, has split from here upwards. So my next tip, and you don't need to buy a sewing machine, but is to have a needle and thread handy with white thread and a light blue thread. Those 2 thread colours tend to work for pretty much everything. And it's to learn basic sewing stitches, very, very simple running stitches, to be able to repair small things like that, which otherwise would mean you might not wear this item again. Now this flows really nicely into my next tip. So my next tip is about looking in places like TK Maxx, charity shops. You may see items and you think, that's pretty much what I want, but maybe it's got an issue with it, maybe it's missing some buttons. So I must have a bit of a reddy orange theme today because yet another red item. So this is a Ralph Lauren polo blouse that I picked up from TK Maxx. The recommended retail price was £175 and I picked this up for £40. And it's beautifully tailored and something that I can see myself wearing on multiple occasions. That's already ticking a lot of boxes. The problem with it, however, is it's only got 1 spare button on the little tab inside. Fixed to the label is where you'll often find spare buttons. But it's missing 5 down the front. Now, I could have walked past this blouse, I could have said, okay, it's missing its buttons, I'm going to put it back. But buttons are very, very inexpensive. You can go to most haberdashery or craft stores and you can pick buttons up for as little as 5p each. Now for this, I knew I wouldn't be able to find the fabric covered buttons that are already on the garment. But what I did know was that the garment has got a kind of light beigey print on it. So I could pick up some small beige buttons that would fit through the little loops on the front of the blouse, and I could just replace all the buttons down the front. Now, as you can see, I haven't done that yet, but I will be doing that very soon, and this has made this garment, you know, I'm getting the benefit of Ralph Lauren tailoring for literally a fraction of the price, and I'm able to plug that gap in my wardrobe just because I have figured out how to sew on some buttons. So it can be as simple as that, and really it can stop you passing up items that would otherwise be perfect for your wardrobe. This brings me on to my next tip. It's really, whilst it's important and I do encourage people to learn how to sew, to kind of fix those small things, allow them to have access to items they otherwise wouldn't have, I think it's really important to know a little bit about sewing and construction before just assuming you will be able to make a garment fit you. Fit is totally different to just sewing on a couple of buttons. And a case in point is actually another Ralph Lauren item picked up from TK Maxx. Now, my other half picked this skirt up for me. It's beautiful. It's a linen skirt, big circular skirt for summer months. Perfect. Button down, and it's got these gorgeous, massive pockets at the front. The problem is, this skirt is too big for me around the waist. Now, my other half thought, Lauren knows how to sew, this will be fine. The problem is the way that the seams are constructed and these gorgeous big pockets, because the pockets are sewn into the seam, and second of all, the seam is a flat seam construction. So, and then thirdly, I'd need to alter the waistband, and the waistband is one continuous piece. Now, I won't bore you with the details of how we could alter this skirt, But what I think is really key here is that unless you are quite an experienced sewist, I would refrain from buying items where there is quite a lot to do to take them in. And key things you want to be looking for when it comes to items that are going to be more complicated to take in. One is waistbands that are one continuous piece. Another is what is happening on the side seams. Are there pockets coming into it? Is there maybe some ruching down the sides? Those kind of things are going to really complicate matters. On the opposite direction, I think lots of people pick up items and with a very adventurous spirit think, oh, I can make this item bigger. This is another trap that people fall into and ends up with loads of clothes just sitting going to waste in your wardrobe, or you buy them and end up giving them away, or worse, putting them in the bin. So one is I'd really encourage people to buy clothes based on the size they currently are, and not to buy clothes kind of hoping that their bodies will change. Your body is beautiful the way it is. Dress it, empower it, love it. But also trying to buy clothes to then make them bigger is really hard. So if you're working in something like haute couture or the costume industry, garments are made with really large seams, which is why you'll hear people who work in theatre or are very familiar with the theatre, sorry my voice is breaking there, you'll find them talking very easily about taking clothes in and out to fit. Similarly, wedding dresses are made the same, really, really big seam allowances where kind of two pieces of fabric are brought together, and that gives you room to take things out. High street clothing is not made like that, and you're going to really struggle to match the fabric that is used in a lot of high street clothing because they are getting them direct from manufacturers who don't sell to craft stores, haberdasheries, etc. I can make another video based on how you take things in and out at another time, but that's my high level tip. Empower yourself to make small changes when it comes to repairing seams and replacing buttons, but just be careful about buying items on the assumption you're going to be able to make them smaller or bigger. My last tip relates to the really fashionable light coloured clothing for the summer. I'm talking about your whites, your beiges, your very pale yellows, your pale pinks. We all have those wardrobe favourites that we've worn either on a hot destination holiday, maybe we've worn them at the beach and they've got salt water on them, maybe we've spilt blackcurrant ice cream down our favourite white dress. So my next tip is all about the white garments, and let's be really real, sweat, stains, all these things. How do we cope with those? My biggest tip is when buying a light coloured item for the summer to have a look at what the fabric content of that garment is. My reason for suggesting this is you can always dye your favourite items another colour if they get a stain on them that means that keeping them white doesn't really work for you anymore. So as an example, this dress is from Topshop. It's a really lovely tiered kind of poplin type dress, and it's got just a couple of stains on it, just like literally bits of ice cream, and just from wearing it in the heat, like the white shade is not keeping so well. Obviously I can keep washing it with other white items, I can use things like colour catchers, I can use brightening powders, but there's only so much you can do. So this dress is pure cotton. You want to look for garments with no polyester in them. Linens work equally, basically any natural fabric, because you can then dye them. So this dress, I'm going to dye a light shade of blue this summer so that I can continue to get enjoyment from it, but you won't be able to see those stains anymore. So that's a wrap on my top tips for a sustainable wardrobe. I've tried to keep this short and sweet, but do let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you've got any hints, tips, tricks that you'd like to share with everybody, and do let me know if you want me to go into more detail on any of the topics that I have covered here. It's lovely to speak to you. Bye for now.